Hi guys, I am the curly haired ADHD guy. Okay, my name is Ayush. I stay in Mumbai in India, and I'm not here to sell you cameras, in spite of the fact that I have a very expensive camera slung around my neck, for which I had to take a bank loan, for which I have to pay EMIs every month. Now, in my case, the story is slightly different. I wasn't a wannabe photographer. I was attracted to photography at the age of 8. But my parents' situation was very, very bleak. We had absolutely no money and we barely made it. I'm from a house that has seen a lot of domestic violence, okay, and it has affected me and my brother and, the perpetrator as well as my mother, okay, in very serious ways. We're all trying to cope with it. But in spite of that, I managed to get, admitted to one of the best colleges in India called Kirodimal College. And I studied literature. I studied English literature at Kirodimal College, after which I went to this really brilliant, beautiful institute called the English and Foreign Languages University. And I did my master's and my MPhil there. The MPhil took a little bit longer because I had a mental breakdown in between, because people are now finding out that I have some kind of autism also. Anyway, so coming back to the first statement, I'm not here to sell you a camera in spite of the fact that there is one slung right across my chest. And it is this. It is the Sony A9. Not just that, I have a very big, not a big lens, but a fat lens attached to it, okay, the 12-24 2.8 G Master. But still, I'm not here to sell you the camera or the lens. I'm here to sell you an idea that will liberate you from the global camera sycophancy market, which is perpetuated a lot on YouTube, and I have been at the receiving end of it. Right now I have an iPhone in my hand, okay, it's an iPhone 13 mini, okay, and I'm not here to sell you iPhone 13 mini as well, okay. I bought this camera because I literally, not deliberately, but by mistake, ended up flinging my old iPhone 8 Plus here. You see, 2 floors down. And well, I went, picked it up, it was working. So I managed with it for a few months, but then it started to give way, so I had to get rid of it. And I thought of buying an Android device which would have been far cheaper, like, in US currency terms, like $250 or $200, okay. And they told me that the WhatsApp messages that are very crucial to the kind of work I do, okay, the WhatsApp sharing, etc., it's not guaranteed that all of it will be shared seamlessly. And when I did my research, I found out that yeah, that's true. I mean, you have to kind of take that risk, and I couldn't take that risk. So yeah, I mean, I ended up buying the iPhone 13 mini. I bought the smallest model. Why? Because I don't think I need anything more, but I did take a good amount of hard drive space at 256 GB, and I've purchased enough cloud space to kind of go with it, okay, both with Google and with Apple. So yeah, I'm managing pretty well in terms of cloud space and all, okay. And also because I had kind of lost a hard drive, okay, recently. It kind of got knocked when it was working, and I lost a lot of my work. Some of that work, luckily, I could recover because it was in a small UHS-1 SD card that people say today are useless, that people say are slow, and so on and so forth. But I recovered some of my work from that, and had forgotten that that card was actually in my old camera, okay, my old camera being a 5D Mark IV. So yeah, you can see, I'm talking about a Sony A9 Mark II, a GM lens, a 5D Mark IV, and so on and so forth. And let me tell you one simple thing. It's a trap. It's a trap in a world where we have phones like the ones we have today. I'm not making this video on, my Sony camera or, on any other camera. I'm using my phone. Why? Because it has a lovely camera. Okay, it has a 26mm lens and it has a 13mm lens, which is an ultra wide. Okay, and if you zoom up to 2x with minimal loss of quality, you also get to about 52mm. So actually, I'm covered from the ultra wide range to the normal range, to the standard range. Okay, anywhere with just my phone. It is 12 megapixels. Yeah, I know, it's 12 megapixels. That's it. But do you know, when I started photography, which is 2010, which is when I bought my first camera, a Nikon D90, and I ended up buying a wrong camera. I think Nikon D90 was the wrong camera for me. I thought I was buying a camera which would actually give me, enough, what do you say, enough duration of video. Okay, but no, Nikon D90 was it was a great camera for photography, but for videography, okay, or for filmmaking, it was terrible because it had an automatic video mode where the camera decided everything. And obviously, the camera is a fucking fool. The camera is a fool. It's a fool which has a lot of intelligent parts in it. The camera does not know how to use the intelligent parts. It's you. It's here. It's here. Okay, and it's here and here. These are the tools with which you can either use a camera or not use a camera, which is why I'm saying I'm not here to sell you cameras. Okay, well, camera companies are welcome to keep producing better and better cameras. Okay, but I think also they owe us that they need to make their better and better cameras cheaper and cheaper. Otherwise, I don't think the day is far when iPhone will have a 200mm range of optical zoom, okay, bigger lenses, okay, wider apertures. Like, why the hell will I buy, okay, a 1.2 lens of any focal length if I can get it on the iPhone? And let's say if it's like 12 to 18 megapixels, okay, I'm very happy, because frankly, when you go into print, okay, either for a magazine or for a newspaper, all you use is 6 to 8 megapixels. Okay, that's basically it. Okay, yeah, if you're making large prints and all, okay, even a 24 megapixel camera can give you a very large print. Okay, when I started photography in 2010, sorry, I lost that thread there because I have ADHD. So when I started my photography in 2010, 12 megapixels was the norm. And if you had a really good 12 megapixel camera, the original 5D was 12 megapixel from Canon, okay, you were considered a professional photographer. So what has happened? Okay, what has happened in 10 years that, oh my God, you cannot use a 12 megapixel camera? Of course you can use a 12 megapixel camera, which is why I, knowing the right things that I didn't know for the longest period of my time, okay, and it's only after having wasted a lot of money and gained a lot of gained some amount of experience, okay, in this field of camera and lenses, okay, and basically photography and creating the creative content that these tools are there for, I decided that I didn't need 33 megapixels or larger. And it's not just a philosophy. There are a lot of practical considerations to it. You see, if you buy an R5 or an R5C, or if you buy Sony's latest A1 or the A1. A1 is the only one doing that, I think, in Sony right now. Or the you need to spend in buying either CF Extras Type A or CF Extras Type B cards. You know how expensive those cards are? This camera is a deliberate choice because it runs on 2 SD cards. They have to be UHS 2, not UHS 1. But I ran a UHS card in this and it ran perfectly, which means that the company or the whole market is lying to us. Do you sacrifice speed? No. These cameras, the current cameras, okay, are very intelligent. Okay, yes, they are fools, but they're fools with intelligent tools. So those intelligent tools, if you know how to use them, then you do not need CF Express cards. Okay, CF Express cards are the new way this camera industry is trying to make you invest your money, because they have realized, and I have realized, okay, having used what Nikon D90, a 5D Mark III, a 5D Mark IV, and now A9, and now an A9 Mark II, and well, having used my friend's A7 III, okay, and having used an A7S III, okay, that the results do not depend upon your card speed. They depend upon your speed, upon the speed with which you perceive a photograph, upon the speed with which you anticipate a photograph. If you can anticipate a photograph, okay, by having understood how a thing is happening, okay, whether it's a protest or whether it's a wedding, or whether it's a party or anything, portraiture, how the model is behaving, okay, whether she's confident or not, or whether he's confident or not, okay, and so much of it depends upon the conversation you have with the person, okay, who you are shooting. I always talk to the people who I am shooting, okay, and if someone were to tell me you cannot talk to the people you're shooting, I would not shoot for that client at all. Why? Because conversation is key. Why? Because conversation is communication, and unless and until you're able to communicate well, you can't do anything well, okay. So this camera, this really expensive camera lens combo is good enough, or a cheaper camera lens combo is good enough only and only if you can communicate well, both with the camera, with your gadget, because that's what it is, it's a gadget, okay, with the smart tools in these gadgets, in these cameras, and with the people you're shooting. And I won't call them subject. You know why? Because it depersonalizes them, it dehumanizes them. When you start calling something a subject or an object, you're essentially taking away the fact that they are human. You're converting them into a human resource, which is what the HR industry does. And as photographers, as filmmakers, I don't think that we should do that, because you are there to capture a human emotion. You are there to capture a moment that is important to a human being. You are there to tell a story that matters to a lot of people, human beings. So first and foremost, I think we should do away with the idea of the subject, okay? It's not the subject, it's the person. It's a face. It's two people, maybe three people, okay, in a particular composition with a particular kind of lighting, okay, falling on A person's face or B person's face or all their faces or whatever. Now, let me come to the technical side of it. Well, the technical side of it is very interesting. I'll have to take the camera off. You see, why am I pissed with, I'm not pissed actually, I'm kind of really, disappointed with the camera industry is because, just have a look at this, okay? This is the camera. So now I'm going to, it's a very risky thing to do to keep your camera here. So let me sling, yeah, because you see deep down there's an abyss, and if my camera falls in that abyss, all my investment goes up there. So okay, now we have this camera. Okay, let us open the car door. I'm going to turn it around, wear it like this. Okay, yeah, keep it here in front of you so that you don't have to see my face anymore. Okay, and you see what happens. Okay, this happens, the car door opens, and you see you have this card that comes out. This card, yeah, the number 4 is mine. I've cards numbered, but yeah, this card, it's a E-Class V60 card by Sony. E-Class V60 card by Sony, 128 GB. It has a read speed of 270 Mbps and a write speed of 120 Mbps, which means it can capture 270 megabytes per second very easily. Now this is the card. The camera on the other hand, what it does is it talks to your card and tells it, I'm going to keep shooting. You keep writing, okay? And we are both going to make it work. So that even in this camera that is supposed to be old now, and people are like touting the coming A9 and A1 and everything, okay, which will have the CF Express cards, which will be like, let you shoot like, 500 or 600 buffers. Well, if you're shooting 600 frames in a second, or not in a second, I mean 600 frames, okay, continuously, or 500 frames continuously, I think you're a really bad photographer. Okay, no good photographer would do that, okay, for his sanity and for his camera's sake, because his shutter has a certain amount of limited count. It will break down after 500,000 shots. It can break down. The limit for this shutter is this camera shutter is 500,000, okay, and for cheaper cameras it's even lesser, like 100,000, sometimes 100,000 and 50,000 more than it. So this 128 GB card is doing fine by me. I can hit 20 frames a second with this. I can hit 15 frames a second with this if required. None of those are required actually. I can hit 10 frames a second, 6 frames a second, anything I want. Okay, and I can definitely hit the 1 frame a second, which is where photography actually happens, because you are looking for one bloody frame. For that one frame which says it all. All the other frames that you shoot around it are not going to say anything. They're not going to convey, okay, exactly what you intend. One shot is going to do that. If you're shooting a scene in a film, okay, it's that one perfect take that will let you do this. That will let you tell the story exactly as you want it. Not all the takes. So this card costs in India 4,740 bucks, which is roughly $70, I guess, or less. It's like $60 or something, $65. And a CF Express card of this same CF Express Type B card of this same capacity, 128 GB, will cost you around 35,000 bucks, which is about 700 or 650 US dollars. So I am shooting the same thing which a lot of other people are doing, okay, by buying these new expensive cameras which are using CF Express Type A and B cards, okay, which by the way almost cost the same. In fact, the Type A, which is slower, actually costs more. Okay, so there's no logic, you see, there's no bloody logic. Okay, why should a slower card cost more? This is a slower card, okay, than those CF Express Type A card which have like, a Type B card which can take up to 2 GB per second and all that. But this costs 10, what? It's not 10 times. Yeah, it's 10 times. It costs 10 times less, and it gives me 20 frames a second. Okay, the buffer of this camera, okay, it's a very, very expensive camera. Okay, it's I bought it for 3,60,000. And that would be equal to about, well, 75 rupees is $1. So in dollar terms, 7,50,000 would be $10,000, and this is half of that. Yeah, so about $4,000 or maybe $4,500 is the cost of this camera. And this lens that you see, this damn lens, I bought it for 2,60,000. So that's like maybe 1,500 less. So what is it that make it? Okay, the camera is 4.5 and the lens is 3.5, something like that. Okay, so yeah, in total 7 or 8, somewhere between $7,000 and $8,000. That's a ton of money. But you know why I've bought it? I've bought it because I bought this lens not for now. It's for 10 years. Now any photography investment that I do is for 10 years at least, if possible more. And I'm not going to change my cameras, whether it's Sony, Nikon, Canon, I don't care. And anyway, I like the Sony system better, so I'm going to stick with Sony. I find the buttons are more in place, my hand suited better and everything. But yeah, I am not going to buy another camera, okay, because I have a camera that can shoot 20 frames a second, that can shoot 15 frames a second, 18 frames a second, that can shoot 12 frames a second, that can shoot 10 frames a second, that can shoot 6, 5, you name it, and 1 frame a second, which is what I want, okay. So if you want that 1 frame a second, then you do not need CF Express Type A or B cards, which cost 10 times as much as these cards. In fact, there is a slightly more expensive version of this card also, which is called the, it's got this yellow lettering and everything on it. It's called the strong card, tough, yeah, it's called the tough cards. The tough cards are also good, they're waterproof. But the reason I didn't buy them was because they were 4 times as expensive, 400%. Okay, 17,000 was the cost of one 128 GB tough card from Sony, and I'm not going to dunk my camera in water, okay. And if on a particular rainy shoot, if there is a particular rainy shoot in which I do have to use my camera, I will rather rent a card, and if I have to take the risk, I'll take it on that. I'll rent 2 cards. If they're really good, if they're really tough, and if they're really waterproof, I would know. And I think they are, okay. Sony would be a fool to claim and let their customers down, okay. But yeah, I mean, otherwise there's no reason. So my shopkeeper told me, and I want to mention my shopkeeper because he is a damn good guy. He isn't a shopkeeper anymore, okay. He's more of a confidant and a buddy also, okay. He's called Ketan Parekh, and he runs a very old camera shop in Mumbai called People's Camera. You can go out there, okay, you can check the stuff that he has, okay. It's not one of those shops that sells you junk, all kinds of junk, camera junk, along with cameras and lenses. He deals only with cameras, lenses, and some gimbals, okay, but very good tripods, which are as important, okay, if not more, than your camera and your lens, because especially if you're going to make films, and you know, you either need a gimbal or you need a tripod, okay, and if you're really good with handheld, then you don't need them also. Okay, I do a lot of handheld, okay, and occasionally I do fuck up, but not most of the times. So yeah, I mean, I just wanted to tell you that, you know, there is no reason to spend pots and pots of money on memory cards, okay, because 4 years down the line you will have another format of a memory card, and that particular format would outdate this one, and the 40,000-50,000, let's say I've got 6 cards, I've got 6 128 GB cards. If every card's costing me $65, that's 65 into 6, that's like $330. In $330, how much of storage do I have? Okay, huge. It's like 512, 512, 512. Yeah, so it's more than 1 TB. Okay, I carry more than 1 TB of storage with me, just in case. You never know. It's better to have cards that are cheaper but fast, okay, than to rely on two CF Express cards. Because the moment you do that, your options are few. What if both cards get corrupted? Are you one of those people, okay, who are gonna buy like 6 CF Express Type A or B cards at 40,000 each, 128 GBs, 35 or 40? Okay, even if it's 35, let's say, okay, which is a conservative figure, 35 into 6 is what? 35 into 3 is 1.5. Yeah, 210,000 rupees. That's like $3,000 near abouts on 6 cards. You can get such a brilliant lighting system for that amount of money. So, I'll try to see. You can see the scene here. Okay. Let me get out of the picture. You can see the scene here. Okay. Don't you think this is a composition? Okay. Let's make the composition. There's lighting already here. It's ambient lighting. Okay. You see, that's a scene. Okay. You go up. You go up. You go up. You go up. You go further. Let's compose more. A little bit. There you have it. You see, it's a scene. Let's say if there was a moon here, okay, right where you see the brackets, okay, the bracket kind of a shape. Just above that, let's say slightly to the right or to the left rather, if there was a moon there, it would be a beautiful composition, won't it be? So, lighting and composition, they're equally important. They deserve your attention far more than camera and then cameras, memory cards. Lenses are important. Why? Because each lens lets you have a different perspective. And then you realize that, okay, I like the perspective of this lens and I do not. But believe me, so many times a lens whose perspective you do not like, you will find it handy, you will find it useful. So lenses, if someone were to buy like interesting lenses, I would be all for it. Okay? But do not. When you buy a camera for 10 years, 15 years. Okay? If you have a lot of money, then yeah, then buy 2 cameras, 3 cameras, 4 cameras. Okay, buy every new one that comes along. If you that kind of thing. But it won't let you progress in your photography. It won't let you progress. Because till I was replacing cameras and I had the thought in my head that this camera is inadequate because of this reason and that camera is inadequate because of that reason, okay, and I need a camera with a CF card and not an SD card and so on and so forth. I did less photography than thinking about this, and listening on YouTube, okay, to people who are really happy to grab your time. That's the most important thing in photography. If you understand, time is of the highest essence. Okay, it's the most essential thing in photography. Time. Okay, you have to time your shot, and if you end up spending your time, giving your time, doling out your time to marketers, okay, who will never be great photographers themselves. They will be marketers, they will be okay photographers, and they will never be great photographers. Then, my friend, he or she, or you all, you are going to be a very sad photographer at the end of it, because you wouldn't have made it at all. Okay, you would have bought tons of cameras, but you wouldn't have made it. So buy a camera for 10 years, okay? Buy mirrorless, because now DSLRs are out, okay? Although you can use DSLRs still, okay? Why not? But mirrorless is just easier, okay? At least to me it is, okay? It's more responsive. I think that one clunky, okay, I love the prism, by the way. I love the prisms of the, if it were possible for me, I would actually break all DSLR cameras and capture the prism and keep it, because I just love the way it refracts light. It was one of the most uh, beautiful yet beautiful inventions, okay, that ever happened. And but yeah, I certainly prefer the mirrorless cameras. They're lighter by any camera, okay. But yeah, I mean, for me, my wrists are kind of nimble. You see, if I were to take it, show you at a distance, I'm a very wristy fellow. When I used to play cricket also, it was all about the wrists, whether it was in bowling, spin or pace or batting. So I'm a very nimble fellow, okay. Maybe nimble is the wrong word, but yeah, I have very flexible wrists, okay, and I don't have very large hands, okay. So for me, if a camera is slightly smaller, not slightly, if a camera is small, it helps, okay. I have thin hands, okay, thin fingers rather, and yeah, not so big a hand, it helps. So I always wanted cameras to be smaller, but all the DSLRs were thick, fat and chunky, okay. I'm very happy that now they have started producing cameras that, although look thick, fat and chunky, are actually lighter and easier to handle, with buttons that are in groups of 2. That's one thing I like about this camera, and I think it's true of a lot of Sony cameras, okay. You see the buttons on top, I have to take it off, huh? You see the buttons on top, over here and over here. So C1, C2, it's in group of 2, okay. When you go here, okay, again the buttons are in group of 2. You can see this one that I'm touching my fingernail to, this one and this one, 2, okay. Again, look here, the buttons are in group of 2. You see 1 and 2, okay. So I like the fact, okay, over here the AF on and the joystick, okay, the buttons are in group of 2, AF on and the joystick. The dials, the dials are in group of 2, 1, you see, 1 and 2. This is the mode dial. This is not considered a dial, it's a mode dial. It's to put the camera mode, 1 and 2, okay. This is independent and this is independent. So what that allows me to do, having buttons in pairs of 2, is that my fingers, unlike on a Canon camera, are not all the time searching for, I mean, I was fairly adept at finding the right button, the ISO and the white balance and everything, but still you have to engage 4-5 fingers for that, okay, or at least 3 fingers for that. Whereas on this camera, I know I don't even have to think about that, okay. So I use one finger to manage both buttons. And yeah, they've given these fancy buttons on the lenses that they call the AF lock button. You see this one, let me point it out. Yeah, see this one, okay. But the AF lock button and all, okay, I mean, the AF lock button and all, I mean, it's not for me. I mean, I hardly do anything with it, okay. The AF is very sticky, and if the AF, if I don't want the AF, the manual focus is also very good. So yeah, I mean, I really don't mind. So yeah, I mean, that's how I think about cameras. I think about cameras in terms of what functionality they are offering me and whether that eases something for me. And in my case, when I saw buttons in the form of 2, because I work in terms of patterns, okay, that's also because I have certain kind of a mind, with certain amount of autism and ADHD present in my system, okay. So patterns are very important to me, and for me the even numbers are very important, okay. That's a fact. I mean, I know it won't be true for most a lot of you, rather most of you, but even when I chew food, it has to be in even numbers. I can't chew like 9 times and gulp the food. If I do that, then I have to balance it out, okay. Sometimes I try to break the pattern and I like chew 9 or 13 times and gulp some food down, and then I have to balance it by chewing the next one, if it's 9 times I've chewed, the second time I have to chew it like 5 times to make it 14, an even number, okay. Or if I have chewed 13 times, the next time I have to chew it 3 times, or let's say 3 plus 4, so that it becomes, 20, again an even number. So I am a person of even numbers, okay, and a camera that has buttons placed in even numbers, dials placed in even numbers all across its body is the thing for me, which is why I went ahead with Sony cameras. Okay, now this might seem madness to some people, but it's not, because eventually photography comes out of your mind. Okay, you see the photograph that you take even before the photograph is there. You think of a scene, you think of blocking, okay, of a scene much before the scene is actually there, okay, much before the actors are there. So that's how a creative mind works, I feel, but I might be wrong, because maybe all creative minds don't think like this, but I do. So, that's the thing I wanted to say. I want to say, do not spend your time, energy, and your hard-earned money, okay, like I did, okay, buying 5 cameras in a five, 1, 2, 3, 4 cameras. Oh no, 5. I have a backup for this. I have a backup camera, okay, because when I started doing a little bit of professional photography, then I realized that I need a backup camera, because any camera can freeze. Even a 5D Mark IV froze on me, okay, but luckily it started working after like 10 minutes or so. So yeah, cameras do freeze because they have softwares in them, and the softwares kind of get, when they get overburdened, they do freeze at times. So that's it. I mean, just be careful. Don't get caught up in the trap that I got caught up in, and that a lot of people get caught up in. By the way, this Sony A9 Mark II is a ridiculously good camera. And why do I say so? A lot of people have said really ridiculous things about this camera on YouTube, and I think they are bullshit. And I think those people are bullshitters. Absolute bullshitters. You know why? Because either there is some incentive involved, okay, and if there is no incentive involved, then maybe they are, it's like some people are obsessed with chow mein, okay, and no matter what food you give them, they'll always say, oh, isn't the chow mein around? It's like that, okay. Some people are obsessed with KFC, okay, they only want KFC chicken. So it's like that, I guess, okay, that, why is it not the best camera that I wanted? What has happened? Okay, there's a new one out now. Oh, that's a problem, because I thought this one was the best. Imagine if the greatest of the greatest photographers had, thought like that. Just think, okay, would Magnum have been there? I mean, people talk about Leica cameras, but you must understand, they're all manual focus cameras, and they're not easy to operate, okay. Having used a rangefinder, I know that you need some years of practice, okay, to be perfectly sure that your thing is in focus. But they all did manage, didn't they? With a camera which was very expensive, but compared to today's cameras, it was rudimentary. So spend your money wisely, okay. Don't be like me, who purchased like the 2 cameras I have now. They're not going anywhere for the next 10 years. I don't need any other camera to make any kind of film. I don't need log and this and that, If you can do your exposure right, why the fuck do you need log? You don't need log. Yes, if you're shooting a very high budget film, okay, with a lot of money, okay, that's been given to you to do your production, okay, to get cameras, lenses, equipment, okay, really fancy editors and everything. Yeah, definitely do shoot log. Shoot the best log. And use the most expensive LUTs. But otherwise, I mean, just do your exposures properly. It's more important to learn how to use a light meter than it is to know, which card should I buy, which camera is shooting the fastest. Like, hello, how many of you actually know how to use a light meter? How to read the background, how to read the foreground? Learn that. If you were to spend some money buying a light meter, I'd be very happy. Okay, I think the whole photographers of the world, okay, who are all dead and buried now, the greatest ones, okay, like Henri Bresson, they will be delighted. Irving Penn. So yeah, I mean, photographers and cinematographers, rather filmmakers, I would say, because cinematographers are a slightly weird, bunch. Uh, but I love them. I love cinematographers, okay, because of the attention to detail that they bring, and it's absolutely wonderful. Okay, I have uh, like worked with few of them, and yeah, I mean, I've learned a lot. Okay, by just seeing them work. Just a few I work with, but yeah, I mean, some of luckily they've turned out to be really good ones, and I've worked with some good directors, some very bad directors as well. Okay, but yeah, I mean, it's so yeah, that is what it is. Okay, if you have the money, okay, if you want to buy a Sony A9 II, do go ahead and buy it. Okay, but please don't look forward to buying an A9 III, A9 IV, and this and that and everything. Okay, because you won't gain much out of getting a camera that has a higher speed card and that can shoot more number of frames. Okay, like yeah, if you were in a plane, okay, and if you were shooting, let's say fighter planes, zipping past each other in a drill exercise or something, yeah, it would make a difference. Okay, uh, but otherwise not. Otherwise, absolutely not. So be happy, make compositions, pay attention to the lighting, and go grab the camera and the lens that you want. Okay, being reasonable and stick with it. Stick with your system. Okay, first and foremost, be very careful choosing a system. Okay, find out a little bit about, you have to go and check the bodies out. Otherwise, you can't buy a system. Okay, I did not buy Sony till I saw the Sony body. Okay, and with Canon that was my mistake. With Nikon also there was the same mistake. Okay, I bought one Nikon camera, never again. I bought two Canon cameras, never again. Okay, then I realized that there is so much to a camera that comes apart. In your shooting process, there's so much that uh, the camera does because of the ease of use. Okay, how it does not confuse you or how it does confuse you. And I found Sony's uh, everything about the Sony cameras, even the menus that people say, oh my god, how do I deal with this menu? I find it far easier to remember the Sony menu. I was under that impression myself, okay, oh my god, Sony's menus are so terrible. Oh my god, okay, how will I manage? The menus don't have enough color in them. Okay, oh, they're not multicolored like Canon's menus, and they're like all orange and black. And when I used them, yes, initially I was like, oh, what does this mean? The moment I understood, well, that's because I'm a very conceptual person also. Okay, the moment I understood the concepts, okay, because that's how Sony writes them. Okay, I knew where I had to go and find what, and now I don't have a problem at all. Okay, and you know how much time it took? It took 6 months of working with my camera to know that. And if you can't give your camera 6 months, okay, you want to earn your bread and butter with this, like it should be like your baby. It should be like a personal project. If you can't give 6 months to understand this thing, which is stupid but has really intelligent software and parts in it, you have to give it 6 months at least. Okay, and then stick with it, like you stick with someone in a relationship. Yeah, it's a relationship. You see how I'm holding it close to my cheek, and yeah, it's a relationship. I kiss my camera, sometimes I sleep with my camera, and that's the kind of person I am. I love my camera, and this is the first one I truly love. Okay, the Canon 5D Mark IV, I was a little sad when I had to give it away because I had to buy another camera. But I didn't feel much after selling it. But this camera, I bet I will hate selling it because it's just the camera that I wanted. It's the camera with even numbers of buttons, okay, and dials in all parts, and it makes shooting fun for me because I know my with a single finger I can basically easily control two dials, two buttons, okay, at once, and it's also a little smaller, a little lighter, okay, everything together makes it amazing. So I am sticking with my A9 Mark II, whether the release of Mark 4, Mark 5, Mark 6, I don't fucking care. I'm sticking with this till it breaks down, and when it breaks down I'm gonna get it repaired again. Maybe I will not need another 24 megapixel camera in my life, and I'll be very happy if that happens.